You know that scene in Pulp Fiction where he's opening the briefcase? Well, that's how I felt when I first got the Pimax 8KX.
We happy? Vincent! We happy?
Yeah, we happy.
So happy together.
And just like that, this was the headset for me. And who wouldn't be happy with that giant 200 FOV? I just couldn't see myself being with any other headset after this one. But then sadly one day,
No.
it cracked.
No. Don't say that.
It did. It was my dream headset, and it's no longer in production. So now what am I going to do? I know. I'll order the Pimax Super. The only way I'd ever replace this big FOV is with another Pimax. But the only problem is I need to make DCS content, and it's going to be a couple months before it shows up. And I need something now, and I need something cheap because I'm broke. And that's where the PSVR2 comes in. And we can get it for a pretty good darn deal. They've got fair, good, or excellent, but the excellent's only $270, so I think maybe we should go with that one, and that's shipped. Next, we're going to need the PC adapter, and we can get the generic one on Amazon for 35 bucks. And the good thing about this one, it comes with a DP cable. So 270 plus 35, we're now looking at about 305 bucks. And you may be asking, Reload, why didn't you just go with the Quest 3? One word.
The binocular overlap.
That's 3 words. That's 3 words.
And that's literally the only reason I got it. And it was cheap. So I sometimes get eye strain, and I've heard that good binocular overlap can help with that. I've heard the best binocular overlap is the Pico 4, but they don't sell it in the US, and it's more expensive than a MetaQuest 3. I've heard the PSVR2 has good binocular overlap, and I just want to experience what that feels like. So I went ahead and ordered it, and when it arrived on my doorstep, the package looked exactly like this. And when I picked it up, I just knew I'd been scammed, because it literally weighed nothing. In fact, I was afraid to open it because I was sure it was just full of paper. And to my surprise, it was actually in there. I was absolutely shocked at how light this headset is. So I downloaded Steam VR, and from there I downloaded the PlayStation app, and to my surprise it was actually fairly easy to install. Everything went pretty smoothly. I've heard stories that the Bluetooth is very troublesome, but for me I have an Asus motherboard and my onboard Bluetooth worked perfectly fine. I won't go into super detail of the installation because there's way better videos on YouTube. The headset takes some practice putting on. There's a button in the front that you push, you can move the lenses away from you, press the button in the back, and then you can extend it. It's like a halo design. The top is going to rest just on the tip of your forehead, and then the back is going to rest behind your skull. And then with both hands, you'll have to fiddle with the headset, trying to find that perfect sweet spot that's in focus. Once you find that, then you tighten it in the back. And it also has an IPD wheel on the top, which I found very easy to use. If you don't know your IPD, there's apps on your phone, and it's pretty easy to find out. So my only concern is how does it perform in DCS? And I did run into a problem right away trying to load DCS. And it was a problem that I couldn't find the answer to anywhere on the internet. So coming from the 8KX, my OpenXR runtime was on OpenXR, and you need to switch it to Steam VR. But even after doing that, I could not get DCS to load into the headset. The game would completely load, but it just would not fully load into the headset. It would partially load, and then it would also freeze the headset. And after trying a million different things, uninstalling everything I could, thinking maybe it was a problem with the PC adapter, I finally figured out that you have to completely remove OpenXR toolkit from your computer, and then DCS finally loaded completely normal into the headset. So how does it perform in DCS? Surprisingly worse than my 8KX, and the resolution is 2000 by 2040. So why would it be worse than my 8KX, which has a higher resolution? Well, for starters, Google says you need to lower the slider in Steam VR down to 68%. So we did that back in DCS, and still it's not running very well. So why? Well, one thing I'd forgot about was that my Pimax 8KX ran at 75 Hertz. So in DCS, I had my frame rate capped at 80 because you want to give yourself a 5 frame rate buffer. Well, the PSVR2 will only run at a minimum of 90 Hertz. So now I need to go into DCS and bump my frame rate up to 95. And that's significantly a lot more work for your GPU, which mine currently is the 5080, and I'm still running at the lowest VR settings. So I got it all dialed in, and I have to say now it's pretty good. The lens are Fresnel, and I think the clarity is on par with the Reverb G2, although the PSVR2 has dual OLED panels, which really bring out the black, which causes the colors in the HUD to really pop. The MFD screens and flight gauges, they almost look a little bit sharper, I think, because of the contrast with the OLED panels. And nighttime is where it really shines. The OLED panels are super black and just more immersive than playing with LCD screens. I'm not gonna lie, I did wander off into a zombie game and got super scared. The field of view is pretty good at 110. It's nowhere near the AKX, but it is larger than the Reverb G2 and the MetaQuest 3. The eye tracking is disabled for PC, I'm not sure why. I'll quickly mention that it uses earbuds for sound, which I'm not a big fan of, but it sounds good. Also not mentioning the controllers because I use a HOTAS in DCS. So it would seem to have a lot of the features that I want. DisplayPort connection, good binocular overlap, OLED panels, and what seems to be one of the most comfortable headsets simply because of how light it is until you start dogfighting. And I honestly thought it was good until I entered the merge. And do you see how I'm turning my head right here? I'm basically looking up and behind me, and this is what causes the headset to move. I didn't think I had the most muscular neck, but because of the halo design and how it sits behind the back of your skull, when you look up, it causes it to bump into your neck and that pushes it forward. And this picture is a perfect example. As long as the lens are perfectly lined up in front of your eyes, everything is fine. But as soon as they tilt, then you have a problem. And moving the lenses just a little bit away from the sweet spot quickly causes them to blur. And I find myself constantly in a dogfight, especially in the loop fight when I'm looking up, having to reach back with my left hand, taking my hand off the throttle and adjusting the headset back down so I can see. And then of course it's not in the perfect spot. So I've been cranking the knob in the back as tight as I can, trying to keep it from moving. And this is where it becomes incredibly uncomfortable. After dogfighting for a couple of hours, my forehead is literally stinging. And it's a weird placement as the headset sits on your head almost like a crown. So it doesn't really secure very well. I think it would have been better if they could have distributed more of the force over your forehead. And I hate to admit it, but I did spend $50 more on trying to find comfort mods. And while they did help, it just wasn't enough to overcome that design problem, which could be unique to me. Because remember, we're all different, we all have different head shapes and our own unique experiences. But because what I do is mostly dogfighting, in good conscience, I just simply can't recommend the PlayStation VR 2. And it's just because of that one design feature, which maybe is a me problem.
I don't understand. Things were going so great. What happened? Something must have happened.
It's not you, it's me.
So stay tuned because I may be able to get my hands on a Pimax crystal, and that may be what I've been looking for.